We're back, people, and today we're breaking down film on A.J. Johnson, newest Miami Dolphins linebacker. Coming into this team, he has a lot of experience playing in the Vic Fangio defense. This is one of Fangio's guys. His best season was in 2020 under Fangio. These last two seasons, he's kind of struggled with injuries. He's a seasoned vet, so he has a lot of experience. He just brings nice depth to the team, I think, at a position where they don't have the best depth at, and even top guys. Like, he could get some playing time. He's a really solid run defender, which you definitely need in that Fangio defense when they're usually playing light boxes. He can trigger downhill. He will shoot gaps, make plays in the backfield, as you can see right here. He can also, stack and track, read things pretty well. But he just, reads this pulling alignment right here and shoots downhill in a hurry. Sees that this guy's going to down block. This guy's pulling, so he shoots right up through here. Realizes he has this opportunity. This fullback never sees him coming. He's ready to take the fullback on at the point of attack. That's kind of like what he's reading through, the guard to the fullback. And once he sees that pull, he knows he's going to have to get downhill in a hurry. And then, boom, able to make a play into the backfield. Very squares the guy up. He's a very strong, consistent tackler. He's also just a very strong player. Like, in coverage, he doesn't offer too much. But, like, if you're in front of him, when things are kept in front of him and he just sees you, he'll come downhill, shoot, and destroy you. He's a very powerful hitter. And then the biggest thing, I think, is just Fangio obviously really likes him. His best years were under Fangio. I believe he's 31 years old, so obviously it's a short-term thing, but getting him on the roster with that experience in the defense is just super important. Not only can Johnson just shoot gaps when he gets the opportunity, but he also does a great job of just taking on alignment at the point of attacks. Here he just gets up straight up in front of the offensive lineman, basically lined up, stand-up linebacker, straight up on this tackle. Meets him on this guard, but he just takes this guy on straight at the point of attack, squares him up, gets control, good hand placement, and now he just gets control of this B gap. He extends his arm. This is good technique. Gets low, and then once he's reading through, this offensive lineman to the backfield to Kamara, and he's reading the, mesh point right here. He can see Kamara's trying to cut this back, so he extends that right hand to use that torque and then come off of it. So he was ready to get control of his B gap right here. And then once he sees Kamara clear that gap, he's not going to get to the outside, comes off of it, helps him make this play as he tries to bounce it back to the inside. He stays square, able to just stack and shed the O-lineman with ease. Super impressive play strength at the point of attack. Now, can he play to this level again? Because this was back in 2020. Would like to see him do it again. He played a little bit in 2021 and then missed most of 2022 with injuries. So, obviously, he has the experience. I don't expect too much of a follow-up from this type of play. But as a guy that's probably going to be second, third string, possibly your fourth, fifth linebacker, you're not going to be expecting too much. So we'll see what they get out of him. But I like him, as a early down player if need be in the defense. He has really good instincts, processing all through the trash. He does a really good job here. As a weak side linebacker, he's just reading this through the whole way. Now, when you're in this position, he sees this tight end over here is unattached, so he might work back across the line of scrimmage. So they're running split zone. He reads this. He starts going with the flow. He reads there's a double team here, but he sees this tight end splitting back, so he's ready to, come off of this and willing to, read this cutback lane. Now he just stays square. He's staying patient. He's ready to track. He's ready to take on the center at the point of attack, keep his leverage, uses that left arm to keep himself clean, and then just work through all of this, be able to see this, feel this, come off of this, and then meet the running back right there for only a 3 or 4 yard gain. Just really impressive work, instincts-wise, just to see this and feel that cutback, anticipating it before it even happened, just by reading that tight end. It's athleticism on this play to avoid this block. This offensive lineman is uncovered, able to just get to the second level right away. Takes a pretty good angle, and he tries to cut him, and Johnson just avoids it. He also gets the strip sack. Very impressive play overall, just on the backside of this outside zone. His job here is to sort of just beat this offensive lineman to the point of attack to get control of this gap here. So he shoots down, avoids this guy, but stays on his feet, doesn't want to over pursue because this guy can easily hit the cutback lane, and he's able to hit this ground with 2 feet and then make this tackle, force the ball out. Very impressive overall play from a physical, athletic standpoint. Wouldn't expect too much in coverage, but like I was saying earlier, he can sort of spot drop, and once things sort of work into his zone, he's ready to just hit people at the point of attack. You can see him just destroy run for underneath. He kind of times it up really well, gets the pass deflection technically, just because right as it hits Renfro's hands, he's there. I mean, maybe gets there, a tad bit early, but doesn't get called. You can just see the power, though. Cover 6, typical Fangio defense. Just once he reads pass, get back, get your eyes over to this little as your hook defender, get your eyes to the two receiver side that you're on. And once you see this guy working towards the middle of the field into your hook, you just stay over the top, good leverage, good positioning, and then destroys Renfro right there. Really good play right here from A.J. Johnson versus the Chargers. He had a lot of good games versus the Chargers. These next two games will both be versus the Chargers that I show here. And he just does a great job. He's this A-gap defender. He comes down, fills into his hole, gets control of it, and then once the running back clears, you can get out of that. Just understanding your run fit, but still being involved on these plays. So he fits this, gets down early so he can take on this O-lineman, but still have control of this gap. You can see how he attacks half the man. He's still able to leverage his gap here. And then Eckler clears his gap. So now he's able to scrape over the top of this combo block to get to the other hole and then help, limit this to just a couple yard gain. Really good work understanding his role. And then once, he can clear that, get out of it. They're taught, get control of your gap. That's your responsibility. But once these guys are able to clear it, you don't have to have that control. You can scrape over the top. This is a high-level linebacker play. Really nice to see. If he can, bring that to the team, it's very, very valuable, especially as a run defender in that Fangio defense. Here you can see Johnson set the edge a little bit, which is nice, just getting up there, reset that line of scrimmage, taking on an all-lineman at the point of attack like he's a true edge defender. The guy ends up losing his feet. He really does understand. You got as a linebacker, understand how to use your hands. That's how you beat offensive linemen. He takes this guy on. He stays low with his leverage there. He gets control of this outside positioning, and now he uses his hands, extends his arms to create that space, keeps himself clean. He sees this running back working to the edge here, so he wants to get out. He's staying square. And then the guy tries to get outside of him, and he limits this to no gain at the he might have gotten lost at a yard as well. It was a second 11 beforehand, but really impressive rep. Nice to see that a linebacker is capable of this. It's typically an off-ball guy just coming down and playing near the line of scrimmage. Nice little versatility to his run defense. Another example from Johnson, just as an off-ball linebacker, but this time taking on an offensive lineman from this position, this center. Does a pretty, good job initially, but then he just comes down, meets him at the point of attack, gets control of the outside leverage of this offensive lineman, creates a space. He basically, if you know what a defensive lineman is two-gapping, he basically two-gaps here as a linebacker, getting control of the outside leverage, reading through, creates that space, good low base here, and leverage everything, and then he extends those arms, extends those hands, combines it with his hip to torque, to throw this guy off, uses his own momentum against him to then basically come off of it and then cover this other gap. An amazing play for a linebacker to make, to come down and do this basically right at the line of scrimmage, and that's only a 1 yard gain. Really high-level linebacker work by A.J. Johnson. Really came away impressed. Now, does he still play to that level, 2 years after the fact? We'll have to see. I'm not expecting a big role for him. He might not even make the team. I mean, it's a possibility, but I like him as a depth option for the squad. Like I said, in coverage, he can do a decent job when everything's just kept in front of him and he can just come downhill, gets a solid hit. He times things up pretty well. He's pretty instinctive. I mean, it ends up being an incompletion. It's not a touchdown there, but you can just see he's in man-to-man with this running back. Once he sees him swing out, he just takes a good angle to the point of attack, sees the throw, and then right through, knock that out for the incompletion. Kind of a good processing player. He has the eyes on everything when he sees it, but when things start to get behind him and he has to carry things down the field is where I would become less and less comfortable with him in coverage. Last play that we're going to break down here for A.J. Johnson. Here we get to see a nice little linebacker run blitz, and he's already, a pretty instinctive guy. He can read his keys, read body language, offensive lineman. He has just a good feel for the game until he studies film, but then there's just times where he just gets to blitz pre-snap and he can just do it and win with athleticism and physicality, and it's less than, the sort of football intelligence side of the game, which he has a lot of. But here he just gets to boom, get downhill, take on this lineman at the point of attack, draw him back, sort of reset that line of scrimmage, and then win his gap and get down, help make that tackle, basically forces the running back to get to the ground, lose 4 yards on the play. Very disruptive player. I like that about his game. And then, as I was saying earlier, just the scheme fit, understanding what the defense, you can clearly tell Fangio's probably not super happy with the linebacker group. I know, David Long and Baker will be the starters, but after that, there's definitely questions with, Duke Riley. Tyndall's developing, but he's still not where he needs to be. And then they just don't really have any bodies after those 4 either. So I think, he fits into this team pretty nicely, and he just brings a veteran presence to that group, like more veteran presence than they already have, because he's older than Long and Baker. So if you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.